Hey there, everybody in the FFBE Global Facebook group, and everybody who sees this video on YouTube as well. Hello to you. Welcome to this week's Ask an Old Mog video, and this week we've got a question brought to us by somebody in the group who didn't really know that they were going to be asking this question and making it into a video, but here it is. And the reason for that is because this week we have a collab event going on, and with collab events going on, we almost always get some new players in the group and some new players in the game who maybe just starting, just starting this week or just starting today because they wanted to try it out. And maybe if you're just now starting out, you've got a whole bunch of stuff to learn about the game and, what units are good and how do you do things and whatever. And so what I want to just say is welcome to the game. If you're new to the group, welcome to this group. And welcome to this series of videos. This series of videos is here to try and help people who are new to the game try and learn some things about the game and learn to kind of play things in kind of a way that's going to be useful, productive, and hopefully fun for you. And also just kind of help you learn to do things kind of on your own so that you don't have to ask questions about really basic things. Once you grab the basics and the advanced, then you can start figuring things out on your own and kind of playing the way you want to play, which is fun. Or if you want to just learn mechanics and learn to play the way I play or the way other people play, that's cool too. But this is what this series of videos is here for. So keep an eye out for these every Friday, just like today. That said, let's get into this week's question. So like I said, this week's question does come from somebody who's new to the group, new to the game, and here's what it is. Hello, I just started playing today. Can anyone help me with forming a team? And I'll just go ahead and throw out there that this player also posted a bunch of pictures of their units that they just got from this, like, just starting out and pulling units in the game, and they were looking for specific help about which of these units do what and what are they good at. And so here's my answer to this question, and my answer to this question pretty much always is the same thing whenever we see it. I'm gonna go into more depth and more detail on it today. The answer is until you get very strong units and max those units out, or even get them to the point where they're like quote unquote usable for really hard content, all trials and challenges are going to require a unique setup to them. So while different teams might be able to use to beat the same piece of content, each trial does have specific things that are going to be needed to try and beat it, or at least try and beat it safely. And setting up your team and setting up your units appropriately helps you to do that. So what am I talking about, right? Because there's a lot of information in what I just said. I'm going to give you some general tips. The first is that a standard team for clearing just like most any piece of specific content is going to have 4 basic things. Someone who's going to do damage, someone who's going to help do that damage easier, preferably 1 or 2 people who are going to do that. And we'll talk about that in a moment. 3, someone who's going to help you not take any damage, and that might take a couple different forms. And 4, someone to help you heal or recover that damage if you do. So we're looking at attackers, supporters and breakers, tanks, and healers. Now, when I say that, I'm not. I'm kind of talking about like trials. So like if you go into, for example, the Vortex here, and you go in like the current events, like this Mistverin trial, right? And that's what I'm talking about. These are like really difficult. Difficulty 450. But some stuff like difficulty 20, you're just going to blow that up with whatever units you have on hand. So that's not that difficult. But for something that's a little more challenging, that's going to be a little more specific to like, okay, I got to bring the right things. And if you're not 100% sure, there's a couple ways you can figure that out. What are these units that I have and how do I use them? So the things you want to be on the lookout for, you can identify what units you have and what they do based on these little symbols that appear under their sprites when you're equipping them, or you can use the filter button to sort out, okay, different types of units on your team. So I'm going to show you that right now. If I just go into my units, which is a button along the bottom, and I click on any one of these units, I'll just pick this one in the middle, Kaito, right? So Kaito has these little symbols underneath him when you click on him. He's got a red sword, which means he's a physical attacker, and he's got a yellow up arrow, which means he's a supporter unit, so he buffs your team. If I look at his other form, he happens to have a down purple arrow, which means he's a breaker, which means he makes the enemies weaker, or breaks their defenses, or applies an imperil skills. But he's also got the physical attacker tag as well. Some other examples. If I go into the free unit that we got with this event, the Beast King Crocodile, he's got a red sword and shield icon, which means he's a physical tank. So he's going to cover your team or protect your team from attacks that come in if you use the skills that allow him to do that. Another example, Venera. So Venera has a purple down arrow. She's a breaker. She's got the attacker tag in both forms as well as the breaker tag. Let's find a support unit. Well, Kaito's already a support unit. Who else do we have with that tag? I might have to go to another team. Here we go. Roberta. Roberta has support as well as the blue rod symbol, which means she's a mage. She's a magical attacker, or a physical attacker, depending on what form she's in. So we can use these to try and sort things out. I want to try and find one more though. Does Bulwark have it? No. Does Sylvie have it? No. Charlotte. Okay, here we go. Charlotte has the magical tank symbol, so that's a blue shield and a blue rod. That means she's going to cover your team against magical attacks. Very nice. And I think we're just going to have to go into... Kresnik. Perfect. Here we go. Kresnik has the green plus symbol, or the health symbol, so he is going to be a healer. He's going to be somebody who's going to protect you from various negative effects and heal them, keep you on your feet while you're fighting. So those are kind of the main symbols that you see. There are some other ones as well. Like there's a kind of a generalist symbol, which is kind of like a yellow sun. That just means that unit can do lots of different things. But those are the main things you're going to be sorting out to try and find your units. That's not the only way though. If I go into Enhance or Awaken or View, there's a filter button. And I can click the red filter button, right? And I can sort out by what type of units I'm talking about. So I want to do attackers, or if I want to do magic tanks or support units. Once I click confirm, I've got the Final Fantasy 12 banner clicked on here. Let's see here. Once I click confirm, it's going to show me all the units that do supportive buffing type stuff for my team. And there they are. So lots and lots of units that do that. I've been collecting units for a long time. Don't worry about having all those units at this point. But I'm going to show you that again. We go to View, Filter. Let's say this time I want to find a magic tank for a trial. Click on Magic Tank, and I've got all these magic tanks that we can use. It just kind of pulls them all in so we can find a tank to fit into our party. Okay? So pay attention to those symbols and use the filter to try and narrow down the list of like what I have. Those are my tips for that. Now, another thing I want to talk about, and this is important for new players who are trying to figure out, what do these units do? How do these units work? You can click or tap on anything that is clickable, and you can learn more about it that way. So if I go into, we'll go into Chow this time, and we go to his special abilities, and I'm like, I wonder what this guard dog ability does. I can only read 3 lines of text on it. I don't know what this is. If I click and hold and let go, it's going to say here's what it does. It covers magic for 4 turns. It reduces damage taken to him by this amount. It works 100% of the time. And in morale, in Clash of Wills, it gets bonuses for morale, and you'll learn more about Clash of Wills as you go. But that's how you can learn more about it. If you click on something and kind of hold that button, it'll pull up a list of what it does. And there's a lot to learn about this game. There's a lot of different kind of stacking effects and things like that. So clicking and hold is very important. So it's how you're going to learn more about what the game does. That's also true about equipment. So if I go to this like Imperial Armor, click and hold on it, it's going to pull up all of that equipment stats. If I click on HP 20%, it tells me what it does. Obviously, it does HP plus 20%. But you can do that. So that works for items and abilities and all kinds of things in the game. I might even be able to do it with this. Nope, I can't do it. I can do it with the limit burst here, right? So there's lots of things you can learn about how this unit works. One more thing I want to point out to you is that you can use what I'm going to call the strategy Moogle to learn what kinds of things you might want to bring to a boss or a challenge or a fight to help you be successful. So we're going to go back to the Mistborn trial here, the hardest one. And if I click on this guy right here, it says strategy. Okay. It tells me what this boss is. It's a demon. It tells me what its weakness is. It's weak to fire and lightning. It tells me what he does. He boosts his own attack and magic. And he inflicts status ailments, and he does damage every turn. There we go. So we kind of know a little bit about what to prepare for. We know we need to bring somebody who can do fire damage or lightning damage. And be really good at fighting demons. And if we are in the fight long enough, we know we need to protect ourselves against status ailments. So maybe a good healer would be useful, or just equipping your units with things that are going to make them immune to status ailments is useful to you. So there you go. How can we build a good team? You can kind of focus on putting things in your team that are going to be helpful based on the trial that you're doing. However, if you're brand new to the game, if you just started today, generally speaking, any Neovisions units that you have, which is any of these units that have this orangey red base, they're going to be strong enough to pretty much beat up anything in the early part of the game. And that's where you really need to be focusing. Like, you should definitely do as much of the event as you can to get any time limited rewards. There's lots of really good stuff in the raid. If you can clear the raid with a strong friend unit, definitely do that. Just like blow up the raid, get all the rewards. There's lots of good stuff in there. The raid box in particular has 10 free 1 out of 10 NV tickets, which you can exchange for a free Neovisions unit. Don't pass this up. Like, get the free in Neovisions unit that you get there. But any Neovisions units that you have are going to help you beat stuff easily. These are the strongest units in the game. And if you go into the story, into the world button, and you just start working your way through like the beginning parts of the story, you're going to get lots and lots of lapis and tickets and other rewards that are going to help you get more units. So that's where your focus should be. Do the event as much as you can. If you get stuck, go do the story. Get your lapis. Any unit that you pull, even if you're just starting today and you pull a random copy of, who's a good example? Okay, I randomly pull a copy of Fledgling Warrior. I randomly pull one, so he's not going to have this green star because he's just your first copy ever. He's not going to really come into his own and be really strong for you until you get him to 1, 2, 3 of these green stars, and you need more copies of him to do that. You're going to need lapis and tickets to do that. So definitely get the lapis, get the free lapis that you can from completing the story. You've got free energy until you get to rank 50. Your rank's up at the top of the screen until you get to rank 50 anyway. So just spam the story, get all the stuff that you can, and then start pulling some more units when a banner comes along that you might want to work on. Now, maybe you came here because you're really interested in the Dragon Quest units. They're not a bad place to spend your lapis and try and get some of those units, especially if you're a fan of that series and you want those units. Do it. They're not terrible. Dai in particular has a very nice vision card, which you'll learn more about as you play. And very, very good equipment. And actually, all 3 of them have fairly good equipment. And either way, they're Neovisions units. They're going to help you clear the early stuff in the game without any problems. So if you want to pull for them, pull for them. If you want to save your lapis, we do have an anniversary event that they just announced officially today. We're going to learn more about the anniversary, here in a couple of weeks. And so maybe saving for the anniversary is maybe more your speed, because we're going to have a bunch of banners and maybe some cool units that are coming out that are new and strong for us then that you might want to save for. That's kind of what I'm doing right now. I'm not against the Dragon Quest units. I'm just more focused on global exclusives and maybe whatever's coming in the anniversary. I don't know what that is, but I'm kind of holding out hope for that. Plus, we get free Dragon Quest units every day from doing the daily summon. So if I'm going to pull for them, I'm going to wait until the end when I've expended all of my free daily summons for them. So there's my opinion on that. But I don't think they're bad units at all. So if you want them, go for them. And that's pretty much what I've got. So just to kind of recap, you want attackers, you want supporters and breakers, you want tanks for the right type of attacks. If they're magic bosses or physical bosses, you want to bring physical or magical tanks. And healers if you can't withstand the damage. Very easy, very straightforward stuff. There's lots of ways to do damage in this game. Damage dealers are pretty much the most plentiful type of unit. So yeah, put a couple of them in your team, support them with your best abilities, your buffs and your breaks, and let them do their thing. That's pretty much what I got on this one. So again, to anybody who's new to the group and new to the game, welcome. We're glad you're here. We want to help you with any questions you have, so don't be afraid to ask. And if you've got a question you want to see in next week's video in particular, let me know in the comments below. Or if you see this on YouTube and you want to see a question answered on YouTube, put a comment there. Feel free to like and subscribe and do all the things that help keep these videos on the forefront of your awareness as well. But they do come out every Friday. And that's all I got for right now. So be good to each other, take care, and we'll see you in next week's video. Bye-bye.